This is the TactileAudio Project Configurator. It's going to create the sketches for you that run your Teensy. And I'm just going to run through this really quickly to show you what it is, which is easier than explaining it. To start with, I'm going to disable channels 2, 3, and 4, so we're just going to have a single sensor in this application. And I'm not going to change anything, just leave everything at the default values. And come down here and I'm going to click Create Sketch. And what that does is it writes the C++ code for an Arduino sketch. And if you click on that and select all and then copy it, then you can go to your Arduino app, select all that, erase it, and paste the new sketch in, and there you have it. This is a complete C++ sketch that will run your Teensy device. When you download and unpack the Tactile Audio software, you'll find the Arduino folder has a file called the Tactile Configurator. I like to copy it or move it to my desktop just for convenience. It doesn't need to be in the Arduino folder, but you can put it anywhere. And once you've done that, you just double click on it and away you go. This is a self-contained application, which means it doesn't actually have to have the internet to run, even though it's a web application. The first thing on the page is this Save Restore Configuration. This is important if you're doing a lot of configuring and you don't want to have to redo it every time you start up the configurator. And I want to point out that saving a configuration is not the same as creating the sketch down here that we saw earlier. The sketch is used for the Arduino application, but it's not used for reloading it. So what you do is, once you've configured something, is you click on Save Restore Configuration and save it. And normally that's going to go to your downloads directory, wherever you would download a file with your browser, because this is a browser app. Now once you've saved it, you may want to see where that is and move it to someplace where you can find it again, and it'll be in your downloads directory, so that's probably not where you want to work with it. So you could move it, say, to your desktop or to a folder where you do your work for this project. If you want to restore it, then you go back here and you say Browse, and you can select a file, and there it is on my desktop. I'll sort those by date so I can see it. This is the one we just saved, and I can open that and it'll restore everything that I had saved. Up here is a button that allows you to configure all the channels the same way. That is, you only go through all of these options once and it configures all 4 channels the same way. Or you can turn that off and you configure each channel independently. So you'll notice as I change things here, if channel 1's on touch mode, channel 2 can be on proximity mode with different thresholds. And if I go back to channel 1, it's still on touch mode. You can also enable or disable channels, and you actually need to do this. If you don't have sensors connected to a channel, it's important to disable it, because the Teensy will sense random noise on that channel and might start playing tracks or confuse the other channels if you don't disable it. The configurator is divided into sections: the sensor options, audio options, haptic options, and global options. And there's a few advanced options too. We'll talk about each of these briefly. The most important point is that each of the options that you can select is explained over here on the right. And if that's not completely clear, you can look in the website, which talks about these things more. Another thing to note is that certain options affect other options. For example, down here in the audio options, which control volume and fade in and other things like that, if you select the proximity mode, where the proximity of your hand to the sensor controls the volume, then the volume controls in the audio section disappear, because those don't make sense. If you're in proximity mode, it doesn't make sense to have fade in and fade out. And you'll see that in a couple of places. It's also possible to disable the audio and the haptic options individually. So for example, if you want channel 1 to only control a vibrator, you just disable the audio options and enable haptics. Whereas channel 2, you might do the opposite. You'd have audio and not haptics. Down here we have what are called global options. These apply to all 4 channels. Multi-track mode, for example, tells whether you can play more than one track at a time if you touch 2 sensors. Obviously that doesn't apply to a single track, but to all tracks. And finally, we have the advanced options here. Generally, you shouldn't fool around with these. Each one is here. It explains what's going on. The only one you might want to change is the logging, but there's no harm in just leaving it at the default. So let's create a sketch from start to finish. We're going to make one with 2 channels. So we disable channels 3 and 4. And the first channel is touch mode. We'll leave these default parameters alone. They usually work. We want to have audio on this track, and I'd like to have a little fade in so that the soundtrack doesn't start and stop just abruptly. And when you touch the sensor and then touch it again, it'll continue from where the track left off rather than going back to the beginning of the song or track. And I'm not going to have any vibrators on this channel. And then on channel 2, what we're going to do is use touch mode again, and we're going to disable that, and we're only going to have a vibrator on this channel, and it's a linear vibrator. That's one of these. And I will select this continuous up-down, which gives kind of a nice effect. And we're all ready to create our sketch. So we come down here, we say create sketch, and there it is. So we're going to select the whole thing and copy it. Now we go to our Arduino app, and we want to create a new sketch. This is a new one you're seeing here, but I'm just going to show you how you do that. New sketch, and that'll pop up a new one. And this is typically what you'll see is an empty sketch with just 2 functions in it, and you're going to erase that and paste in the sketch that the Tactile Configurator just wrote. If you like to look at the details here, you can see so you can kind of see what you did here. Here's your thresholds, your output destinations is the vibrator. There's a vibrator envelope, the vibrator type is linear, and so forth. But you don't have to worry about this C++ code, it just is there. And that's it, it's ready to go. When you hit compile, it'll compile this and send it to your TactileAudio Teensy device. And when you're all done, you probably want to save your sketch. So we'll say save as. One of the peculiar things about the Arduino is you're not allowed to have spaces in the name, so we'll do something like that. And it's saved.